going to win a 6 day, 5 night Hawaii getaway. So you come in, type in number one, say hi, hello, and to join at the end of the presentation. We'll have to join. And also, if you have any questions, put in the comments, and we'll get to it towards the end. I hand it over to you.
Thank you, Jerry.
You're
Welcome,
welcome.
everybody. And we're going to talk about some of the bucket lists that Jerry had asked me to kind of present to you guys. And this is very informal. If you guys have any comments, Jerry can stop me and we can answer those questions as we go. So thank you, Jerry, for inviting me to share with your team.
You're welcome.
Let's see. All right. So, who are we and what do we do? So, Pleasant Holidays and Journeys, we are what it's called a tour operator. And what we do is we work in conjunction with the hotels, the airlines, the car rental companies, the excursions and activities companies, and we bundle those packages. And then Jerry comes and contacts us, and we work with her to make your vacation adventure together. So that's what we do. We started in 1959 as Pleasant Hawaiian Holidays. So we are the top tour operator for Hawaii because we do have properties in all of the 6 islands. And then we kind of changed names in 2003 to Pleasant Holidays because I will show you a slide with what we now offer. So we offer a little bit of everything. With Jerry's permission, we are going to be talking mainly about private islands and some bucket lists, uh, options for you guys. And then, of course, we're going to be talking about Hawaii. Journeys is what we call is also another tour operator, but it mainly handles more of those concierge level of service. So they give a couple of little amenities that our Pleasant Holidays doesn't provide, but they are part of our sister companies. So we changed the name from Pleasant Hawaiian Holidays to Pleasant Holidays because, as you can see, we've expanded our destination portfolio. So, yes, we still have Hawaii, but we've added Australia, New Zealand. We have the USA, Canada, 23 islands in the Caribbean. We have Central America. With that, we have Belize, Costa Rica, and Panama. We also have South America. Right now, we have Colombia, and hoping everything opens up. I just got some notice that Argentina is going to start welcoming travelers again into the destination. So December 1st, and we will be launching our Argentina and Peru product possibly by the end of this year. Crossing our fingers, everything works out. Then, if not, it'll be in 2022. We also have South Pacific, so anywhere from Tahiti, Fiji, and Cook Islands. Fiji just started again receiving travelers as of November 1st. They had been closed due to COVID. We also have Maldives, Mexico. We also have the United Arab Emirates, so we do partner with Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And we also have Japan and Asia. And in Asia, we have Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan as options include in Japan. And of course, we have a portfolio of cruise programs as well as trains. Europe, and of course, we'll have Europe. Just quickly, Europe has opened up their doors to the U.S. travelers. This is a list of some of the destinations that we have. There's still great programs and packages for Christmas. And then, of course, we have our cruises, anywhere from a sailboat, as you see, that's Windstar, to a small, intimate U.S. river cruising like American Cruise Line, American Queen, Victory. We also have Ama Waterways in Europe, as well as Emerald and Scenic, Paul Gauguin in Tahiti. We also have private yachts. So we do have an array of voyages that we can work together with Jerry to put together for you. And then our excursions, we call them experiences because when you take a tour at a destination, you're not just doing a tour, you're having an experience of that destination, whether it's the culture, whether it's zip lining, foodies. So we actually changed that to experiences. And so with Jerry, we talked and she wanted to work on some unique products that we have. And we are going to be doing the Caribbean. And then for non passport holders, we're going to talk about some US destinations. So in the Caribbean, we do have 23 destinations that we work with. And as you can see, the map kind of gives you an idea. When people think of the Caribbean, like a hurricane hits or something like that, they think, oh my God, the entire area is gone. No, as you can see, there are different islands, and yes, some of them are going to be affected. If you are thinking of that area where there are no hurricanes, then you want to consider the ABC Islands, which are Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, because those are on that southern part of the Caribbean close to South America, and they're not on that hurricane belt. And then for today, we're going to be talking about uh, the Bahamas and the British Virgin Islands. Each of these destinations, of course, is going to require a passport. Rule of thumb is that your passport has to be valid at least 6 months after you get home. And of course, with COVID, they do have new protocols in place. Each destination has their own unique requirements. Most are, of course, requiring that fully vaccinated client. But if you're not vaccinated, then they do have those protocols of needing a negative COVID test. Some may have a quarantine requirement. And then, very important nowadays, is make sure you guys have your Verifly app. This is an app that you can download on your phones, and you upload your passport, a photo, and all of that information. And that is actually what's being used by a lot of the airlines when you're flying internationally. So keep that in mind. Of course, if you're traveling to anywhere in the USA, whether it's mainland or Puerto Rico, Hawaii, U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, you do not need a passport. And some destinations in the Caribbean will require a tourist card or a tourist visa. And that cost is being added into the cost of your air, just like they did with the Dominican Republic. It used to be $10 that you had to pay. It is now part of that. With the Caribbean, of course, they have a high season, and their winter, those northern destinations like Bermuda, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, get a little bit chilly at night, but in the daytime, their temperatures are in the 80s and 90s. If you are going into that northern part of the Caribbean, which is actually the Atlantic, we recommend that you bring a shawl for the ladies, and the guys maybe a jacket if you tend to get chilly. And then if you are a beach person, just know that during the winter months, those areas that are close to the USA, like the Bermuda, like the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, the seawater, the ocean water is going to be colder because they're closest to the US mainland, and they're that northern. If you're south in those southern Caribbean and even Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Cayman, the water, it's going to be in the 70s and 80s. And of course, you can go swimming year round. With the Bahamas, and this is one of those unique places that Jeri had wanted me to talk to you guys about. The Bahamas is made out of over 3,000 islands. The most used, of course, are going to be Nassau and the Exumas, and they are different keys. Bimini is one, Andros. So those have smaller, intimate properties. But we're going to focus today on a place called um, Foul Key. It's a private island. The Bahamas is known for its beautiful blue turquoise waters, and it is also available through Turks and Caicos. And the way to describe those blues is, think of a painter that dumps different colors of blue in a bucket and then takes a brush or a piece of wood and just starts swirling them around. That's the easiest way to explain to you guys what those waters look like. But you can do swimming with the pigs in the Bahamas, of course, golf. There is some gambling and different activities that you can do, and it is a foodie's paradise. So with Foul Key, this is a private island, and it is part of the Great Exuma chain of islands. Remember, the Bahamas is over 3,000 islands, and actually over 300 islands, and then they have those small keys. It is a destination where it's family friendly, but if you take over the island, which is about 30 adults, and then if you bring kids, of course, that number will change. It gives you that atmosphere where everything is included. and it's kind of like being away from home. So these are individual villas that you rent. They come with kitchens. You can also have your own chef that comes in and cooks for you. They have 1 bedroom villas and all the way to 3 bedroom villas. Each villa comes with its own golf cart. So you drive around. The island is not very big, as you saw. And these are some of those unique villas that they have to offer. What do you do? And as you can see on that photo on your right hand side, that is the color of that blue water that you're going to experience when you go to the Bahamas or even in Turks and Caicos. So everything is shallow. You do have some deeper areas, but everything is kind of that light color blue. You can go here snorkeling, scuba diving, bone fishing, deep sea fishing, paddle surfing. You can also do great foodies. You can also do shopping. So you do have those options. With Daniel Fowl Key, the way you get here is you fly into an island called Staniel Key. And then from Staniel Key, they come pick you up on your own boat and they take you over to Fowl Key. And now then you have access to that whole island. The island is considered all inclusive because all of your meals, drinks, and things like that are included as part of your package. And like I said, each of the villas does come with its own full kitchen. Then going into the British Virgin Islands, um, the way to get here, it's you fly either into Puerto Rico or St. Thomas. And then if you're flying from Puerto Rico, you take a 40-minute flight into Tortola, which is their largest island and also where their capital is located at. Or you fly into St. Thomas and then you take a 45-minute ferry from St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands, over to the British Virgin Islands. They are known as the yachting capital of the Caribbean, and everything is very close to each other. So it is the perfect place for those of you that like to sail or do yachting, because anything is close by in a proximity. So you really never get lost when you are in a boat in that area. But sailing, you can do helicopter rides. There's a lot of history and culture in the British Virgin Islands. US dollars are highly used throughout both the Bahamas as well as the British Virgin Islands. And my company has 4 properties that we work with here. Rosewood Little Dix Bay is part of the in the island of Virgin Gorda. It's a 35-minute boat ride from Tortola to Virgin Gorda. And as you see, this map gives you an aerial view of what the property looks like. So it's these are a combination of villas and rooms and suites, but you have that private island, and then of course you have that openness. And they do a lot of eco-friendly activities, but you can do snorkeling, scuba diving, kayak, paddle surfing, yoga. So they are all about immersing you into their experiences and into their culture. And then, of course, our next destination is Oil Nut Bay. This is a tip on the northern part of Virgin Gorda. And what you see on this photo, you see a cove. I don't know if you guys can see my pointer, but what you see here, that is the property. And you have this whole island for you to explore, and everything is close by. And as you can see, it's again a combination of those rooms in those villas. Some of them have private plunge pools, some of them have that private beach atmosphere. So you can either get your own little villa or you can do a takeover of the whole property. And they do have 3 restaurants to choose from. Then Scrub Island, yes, this is again another of these unique island. It is a 15-minute boat ride from the Tortola over to Scrub Island, and they're part of the Marriott Autograph Collection. And the property is a combination of villas that you see nestled on this side, and then also these is the traditional hotel that a lot of people think of. And then they also have a marina. So if you have your own boat or if you're yachting, you can actually come and dock here and then take advantage of the restaurants on the property. I believe they do, depending on the time of the year, you do need to spend at least 1 night in order to be able to access some of the other areas of the island. But again, as you can see on this photo, this is what the main area would look like with the marina. And this that you see down here, that's Tortola, and it's literally a 15-minute boat ride to bring you into the property. This is one of their 6-bedroom villas with your own private plunge pool. And again, restaurants, family friendly, private beaches for you to explore and immerse and just relax. Great seafood because everything is going to be fresh. And then they also have these beautiful private beaches that you can just go and explore as well. And then Peter Island is one of their largest keys. It is currently closed, but I wanted to share it with you because it is an amazing destination and an amazing product. Uh, they are closed because they were, again, this area got pretty bad hit with Hurricanes Maria and Irma back to back. And so this particular property was in the process of rebuilding when COVID hit, and now they're just finished putting those finishing touches. But as you can see, it is a unique private island, and this is all for you. Again, you have those villas, properties that they have. You have these beach area, everything is close by. So that is for those of you that do have a passport. Know that if you're going to the British Virgin Islands, the requirement is you do need to have a negative COVID test as of right now. You do need a negative COVID test, whether you are fully vaccinated or not. However, if you are fully vaccinated to go to the BVIs, you can have the PCR test. If you're not fully vaccinated, then if you're fully vaccinated, they want the antigen test. If you're not fully vaccinated, they want the PCR test, which is the one up the nose. Then if you're fully vaccinated, once you get to the resort, you're free to do and go marry. If you're not fully vaccinated, you will be required to do a 7-day quarantine, and you will have to test after 4 days of arriving into the BVIs. If you guys, through Jeri, take over one of these small islands and you have your own group, then your quarantine, you're on your own private island, so you don't have to worry about that. They will come get you to get that test at the 4-day. If you do get a yacht in the British Virgin Islands, and those yachts will vary in size, I believe one of the largest ones that I was talking about through the Moorings company houses 3 couples, so 6 people, but I believe with families they can go as high as 12. If you have your own yacht, then they have an area where all the yachts kind of hang around, so you can at least swim and be part of an experience, even though you're being quarantined for those 7 days if you're not fully vaccinated. So just keep that in mind. For those of you that do not have a passport, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and we're going to go about into Hawaii as well. You do not need a passport unless you're going to Puerto Rico and you're going to go then to the British Virgin Islands, or you're going to island hop. If you are taking a cruise, you do not need that passport. However, I highly recommend it, because if something happens to you in one of the other islands, you will need that passport to get back home. The passport card usually doesn't work. But Puerto Rico is a U.S. Commonwealth. It is 110 miles. It is actually where I was born, in the island, in the San Juan area. As you can see, you do have an array of different hotel properties. We do have 2 offshore. Actually, we have 3 offshore islands. Culebra and Vieques are known as the Spanish Virgin Islands, and then Mona Island is going to be on the west coast. Culebra and Vieques do have hotel properties that you can go to. Also included in Culebra is Flamenco Beach, dubbed one of the top 10 most beautiful beaches in the world. And it is in that small island. So those are going to be some of your options, unless you want to stay in the mainland. And of course, some of the activities that you can do in Puerto Rico is golfing, the rum Bacardi distillery. There's also the Barrilito distillery. If you're rum, you can actually do a rum taste throughout the island. They have the Toro Negro zipline tour. That is the second largest zipline in the world. If you guys Google Jimmy Fallon and Ricky Martin, they actually did that tour. Jimmy Fallon is a very afraid of heights, and he did it. So he kind of bragged about that he survived it. But you can do sailing, snorkeling, scuba diving, a lot of history, foodies. So you can do different activities when you are in Puerto Rico. One of my best areas is going to be this one down here. That is called excuse me, a bioluminescent bay. And that is when you go on a moonless night on these bay areas, the water starts glowing. And it's these microorganisms that live in the water. And when you agitate them, they start glowing, kind of like a
Mhm.
firefly. So we call them the fireflies of the water. You do not, it is not toxic. You're not going to glow like Hulk after you get out of the water. But it is a unique experience that you guys have. And Puerto Rico has three of these bays that glow year round. And then we have an additional eight that are seasonal. And then every Caribbean island does have their own version of carnival. For us, would be kind of Mardi Gras. So this is just an example of one of their carnival photos. And
I
then
have one quick question.
sure.
Miss Sandra asks, if vaccinated, do you need a COVID test to return to the U.S.?
Yes, if you're anywhere outside of the USA mainland, like if you're going to the Bahamas, if you're going to British Virgin Islands, if you're going to Europe, if you're going to Mexico, when you come back into the USA, you have to be tested.
Okay.
If you're going into Hawaii, if you're going into Puerto Rico, if you're going into the USVI, as of right now, no, you do not need to have that negative COVID test coming back home.
Okay.
Next to Puerto Rico and between Puerto Rico and the British Virgin Islands is the U.S. Virgin Islands. And these are St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John. Most people will fly into St. Thomas because it is the island that most people know.
Mhm.
St. Croix has, excuse me, it is a nature reserve. So anything that goes in has to come out. They do have small properties, more of a camping type of thing, but small boutique style as well. So they're very protective of St. Croix. And of course, you do not need a passport to go into the USVI unless you're using it as a hub to go to the BVIs or to go to some of the other Caribbean islands. And that is something that is an option for you guys to do. You don't have to stay in one of these islands, you can island hop. And some of the activities that you can do when you are in the US Virgin Islands, of course, water sports are huge in the Caribbean because we're
Right.
small islands. But you can also have a lot of history and foodies that you can partake. And then, of course, now we're going to the other side of the world into the islands of Hawaii. Um, and we have six major islands here. You have, of course, we are the largest tour operator of Hawaii. We do have properties on all six islands. We offer some cruise lines here. It's Norwegian and On Cruise. Of course, you do not need a passport to go into Hawaii. And we have over 900 tours and experiences that you can partake in. Um, when you fly, most of the people will fly into Honolulu. Sorry about that. But you can fly also into Maui, Kauai, and the Big Island from California. And of course, their climate will vary. They're a little bit more northern than the Caribbean islands. So you're going to have those changes in temperature, but not as drastic as we experience here in the States. Again, the water temperature during their winter months, it's going to get colder like it happens in the Caribbean. But in the daytime, it goes back into those 80s and 90s temperature wise. And we're going to start with Kauai. Kauai is the oldest of the six inhabited islands of Hawaii. Um, 80% of this beautiful island is not drivable because it has this beautiful, if you look at the Napali coast in the Waimea Canyon, you'll take a look at, see those beautiful cliffs that come. That is what surrounds a lot of this part. Most of the people that come to Kauai are your adventure seekers, people that are going to be out and about, um, hiking, tubing, golfing, um, doing different activities. They do have a lot of foodies here as well. They do have golf, but you can also do the tour of the Napali coast via boat or helicopter. They have these beautiful valleys. They have a lot of waterfalls. They started counting. This actually happens to be the waterfalls. For those of you that I'm gonna age, I'm gonna actually tell you kind of sort of my age, but the show oh my god, the plane with Tattoo. Um, I oh my god, Paradise Island. I forgot what the name is. Anyway, this was the falls where it was filmed with Tattoo. But they do have, of course, a fern grotto. They do spelunking. They do hiking. They have the zip lines. So they do have a lot of activities here. As you can see, the Waimea Canyon. This is the Grand Canyon in Hawaii, but it is in Kauai. So if you see this and you compared it to our Grand Canyon here, then you kind of see that resemblance. And then they do have swimmable beaches because they are volcanic in origin. You're gonna have that more of that caramel color, and then some of them will be that darker, what they call that black sand. Where in the Caribbean, you're gonna have more of that whiter caramel, light caramel color, and pink sands as well. Oahu is the second island, is the second oldest, and most people will fly into Oahu because of Honolulu, because of Pearl Harbor, and they are aware of Waikiki. Honolulu is the capital of for the islands of Hawaii, and it gives you that town and country feel as well as that modern traditional when you're in Waikiki. You can do, of course, here Pearl Harbor, and with Hawaii, because of their strict protocols with COVID, they have they're controlling the percentages of visitors. So in Pearl Harbor, for instance, once they reach the maximum capacity for that day based on their protocols, capacity protocols, they will shut it down. Some of the things that they may do, for instance, is if you're not fully vaccinated, you may not be able to go into the Arizona. So with Pearl Harbor, when you get there, you go and do a museum on land. You watch a movie about Pearl Harbor, and then they allow you to walk around and pay your respects. And then you're called by number, excuse me, and ticket, and taken on a boat over to the Arizona where there's a platform. And now you're over the platform is over the Arizona boat, and you can pay your respects then. Other activities, of course, excuse me, the Polynesian Cultural Center. They still have the luau. Oh my God, sorry, it went down the wrong pipe. They do have the luau's, but they do control how many people will be in the luau. It used to be 500. I believe they're down to 200. The Iolani Palace, Hawaii was one of those destinations. They had royalty, and these were their kings and their queens. Hanauma Bay is on the southeast shore of Oahu, and you do this beautiful beach, but you also can do hiking on Diamond Head. North Shore is known for its surfing. It is the surfing capital of Oahu, of the Hawaiian Islands. And it's kind of cute because when you're in that area, you can just park. If you are a surfer, you may have your surfboard on your car and you just park, you surf, get dressed, and go back to work. And that's how a lot of the people spend their lunch hours. But they have little shops, little areas that you can just explore and immerse yourself into the culture. They do also have a Dole pineapple factory. It's here, and also botanical gardens. And and in Oahu, on the eastern part of the island, they have the Honua Ranch, and that is where the movie Jurassic Park was filmed. And you can go horseback riding and things like that here as well. And then you have an access of all their beautiful beaches. Maui is their third oldest island. It is going to be between Kauai and Honolulu or Oahu, it's a 30-minute flight. Between Honolulu or Oahu, sorry, and Maui, it's going to be about a 35-minute flight. And Maui is what they call uh, the island of Maui, and then you have Lanai and Molokai, which are the two smallest islands that are inhabited, and they do have properties. Um, in in Oahu and in Kauai, you do need a rental car. In Oahu, if you're just staying in Waikiki, you really don't need a rental car. If you're staying outside of Waikiki, or you want to explore on your own, not being tied to a particular excursion or tour, then you can definitely rent a car for a couple of days, and then that way you're not paying for parking that entire time you're in Waikiki. And then in Maui, it's another destination where you definitely need a rental car, because the difference between the Kahului airport, where you fly into the Kapalua, Ka'anapali, or the way to Makena area, you do need a rental car. That's about a 30 to a 45-minute drive, depending on traffic. With Maui, again, we suggested, but it's completely different from Kauai, completely different from Oahu. This has the Lahaina area, and it's a small fishing village, great to shop, cafes, so an area to try different things, but also a lot of the history of the island. And they are known for this beautiful banyan tree that has been here since 1873. They also have the Ka'anapali Beach area. This has more of those hotels, but again, you can go anywhere and explore. They do have the upcountry, so they do have ranches here. You can go horseback riding. There's a lavender farm. I found out recently that they have a rum, actually a vodka distillery in Maui. They do have a winery where you can try pineapple wine. And then you can also, they have a farm where you can do goat cheese, grab your crackers, and then just have your wine. So you can have your own little picnic. You can do whale watching during the winter months. So end of November through April, beginning of May is when whale watching season is. And you can see the whales from any of the islands, but Maui seems to be, because it's kind of like in the middle, it seems to give you that advantage. The Haleakala National Park, this is when you hear people talking about the sunrise excursion. This is the top of a crater of a volcano. It is dormant. It has been dormant for many, 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 many years. But the tour that they take you in, you have options. They can either take you up on a bus, and then they bring you back down to the main area of the valley, or the one we did was a bicycle tour. So yes, you wake up early in the morning because you're going to see the sunrise. So we met at the bike shop. I guess it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. They put our helmets, tried, the perfect bike for you, everything that we needed. They loaded the bikes on a bus, and then they took us on a separate bus all the way to the top of the volcano, of the crater. And at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, when the sun starts rising, those are the colors that you see. And every day is a different set of hues of oranges and reds. Once we were done with the sunrise, they took us to the next level of the crater, and that's where our bus with the bicycles was waiting for us. We loaded on our bikes, and then we just took our time going back into the valley. So we stopped in little areas, had breakfast, stopped at a little wine place and had a glass of wine. So you take your time getting back the bike, so you don't have to worry. It's like, oh my God, I need to be back by 1 o'clock. No, you just take your time. So this is a great opportunity. If somebody wanted to do this, I've been told that they're also doing now sunsets. So they do the same thing, but instead of a sunrise, you're there when the sun is setting, and then people just bring bottles of wine, cheese, and crackers, and they just have a romantic evening watching the sunset when they're in the Haleakala Park. Rotana is actually the eastern part of the island, and it's a one-way road. You can do an excursion, and I highly recommend that if you don't want somebody to drive. because if the person that drives the road to Hana, it's one way in and one way out, will miss out on all the beauty that's around them, because you have these beautiful cliffs on the left side or on the right, depending on which way you're coming, and then just beautiful areas. You can go hiking, you can stop and do picnics. And then once you get to Hana, it's a small fishing village. They have a beautiful small cove-like beach, black sand, because it's more of that closer to the volcano area as well. So you can definitely do that here. And as you can see, the black sand in Hana, as well as this kind of reddish color sand, and then everything is more that uh, light caramel color. Molokai and Lanai, these are these two smaller islands that are very close to Maui. You can either take a ferry from Maui, or you can take a flight. You can also fly into them through Honolulu. It's going to be about a 35-minute flight to fly in. Um, this is for that person that wants to get away from it all and then check out. Uh, Wi-Fi is not the best. Um, they are small, very historical. A lot of locals still live here, so it's very welcoming. Um, but this is where Father Damien had his um, the mission where he was treating people with leprosy, and it has become now one of their tours, so you can learn more about that when you get there. But it also has this beautiful cliff, so you can go horseback riding, and then explore the island. But again, it's very secluded, very subdued. And Lanai is very similar to Molokai. They do have a one hotel here, but again, it's perfect for the scuba divers, people that want to get away from it all and experience something different. And then the big island of Hawaii. Everybody calls it Hawaii, but it's, or the big island, but it is Hawaii, the big island. And this is where a couple of years ago, it was 2018, I believe, or 2019, 2018, when the volcano was erupting. People thought the whole island was getting erupted. It was just this little corner of the island that was actually where the volcano was, the lava was flowing. It is a national park that you can actually go visit. The area, it is the youngest of the six islands, and it's also the largest, but it has a diversity within their ecosystem. So when you fly into Kona, this is kind of like what you see, that lava rock, that you can go hiking and kayaking. But then you also have these areas where you have a rainforest, you have ranches that you can go horseback riding, the Mauna Kea observatory. So in the Haleakala in Maui, we were doing the sunrise excursions. Here is actually stargazing. So at this particular area, they bring you up to one of their observation decks during the sunset. And once you're there, it's, you can just see these beautiful sky full of stars that you normally don't get to see when you're in the city because of the lights. And so it's a different experience when you get here. You do have Kona, which is one of their known areas for hotels. And this has the Kona coffee, where you can actually learn how to make coffee. One of the excursions now allows you to roast your own coffee, bag it, and you name it. So then you can bring that home with you as a souvenir or for your family and friends. They have the painted churches here as well, scuba diving, snorkeling. When you go to Hilo, which is towards the eastern part of the island, then, and it's about a 3.5 hour drive from Kona now, because they just opened a new highway. This is where you have the national park. This is where you do the volcano experience, and you can do the volcano by foot, by water on a boat, or by helicopter. Just keep in mind that if the excursions will have to take into consideration the sulfur, and so if the winds are hitting the wrong way, they may not be able to do the boat, or the helicopter. So just be aware of some of those issues, because it is a live volcano. Hilo is the downtown part of that area, very small, boutique like. and just very homely. They do have small properties on that part of the island as well. And as you can see, of course, you do have those beautiful beaches as well throughout the Big Island. With our company and working with Jerry, we do have private transfers. We can do Club Mobe if you're going to Jamaica, for instance. We do have the boats that will transfer you if you're going to Greece, for instance, or if you want to charter your own yacht, that will be available. Important nowadays is definitely have travel protection.
Yes.
Our programs do offer cancel for any reason. They do cover those non-refundable airs and hotel fares, and their price starts on excuse me, $99 per person. If you're doing cruises, we can also work with Jerry on that. Exclusive programs, we do have them in Hawaii. I don't know what's happening.
It's okay.
And we do have the islands of Maui, Oahu. These are promotions that we've partnered with these particular properties, and they add different amenities to the package. The prices are also lower than what you can find anywhere else. And we still have packages for 2021. Again, Christmas season is still available, but just not for 2021, but also for 2022. And as long as the hotels have put together prices information, we can go as far as 2023. We do have exclusive savings for you guys that are our frontline first responders, police officers, firefighters, paramedics, healthcare professionals, our military. We thank you for your service. So we do have a savings of 10% discount for those packages for you guys. And this is one of my favorite sayings. These days, it's not about joining the richest 1%. It's about being the 1% who turns their bucket list into a checklist.
Right.
And so working with Jerry, she will help you get that checklist.
Yes.
Your checklist. And that's it.
Okay, I appreciate it. That's a lot of valuable information. I hope everyone who tuned in enjoyed all the information you guys have been asking for. If you want any more details, just put in the comments and I will reach out to you. And if you think about any other questions later on, you can still put in the comments or you can inbox me and I get to it as well. So what I'm going to do is going to, for those who have tuned in and didn't say hi, put a number one so I can add your name in real quick for the drawing.
I want to enter the drawing. I want to go to Hawaii. What are you talking about?
Yes, Hawaii is beautiful. That's actually somewhere I haven't been yet, but that is one of my, I call it travel goals on my checklist. So I will be getting there.
Unique to Hawaii and a lot of the islands, but specifically to Hawaii, a lot of the properties have refrigerators in their rooms or your suites, regardless of the size. So they always have a little shop that you can go to. They're called the ABCs. No, it's all corners covered. It's one of these little stores in every corner of Waikiki, or even if you're in Maui, you walk out of Waimea, if you're in the Grand Wailea, when you walk out into that area in little town, you just stop in the little stores and just buy your things, so you don't have to spend, you don't have to break the bank in order to stay.
And like for the rental cars, I know some people want to wait to rent a car once they're in Hawaii, but I know last year when the travel actually picked up, it was hard to get a rental car.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say it's best to pre-book your rental car or wait till you get there? Like as
No, my recommendation is make sure, even if you're not picking it up on the first day. Let's say you're staying in Waikiki for a couple of days, and then you're going to the North Shore because you want to stay. You want to do a couple of days in Waikiki just to get that, the Waikiki feel out of your system, and then you just want to relax and explore. you can actually go to the North Shore and stay in one of the small properties up there. Then rent a car for, those 3 or 4 days that you're going to be on the North Shore. Or even if you're staying in Waikiki the entire time, you don't need a rental car the entire time you're there.
Mhm.
If you want to explore for 3 out of your 7 days, then you can definitely rent a car. And I would highly recommend doing it ahead of time, so that all you have to do is confirm, go pick up your car, and then go explore, versus having to find a car once you're there.
Once there. Okay.
The issue that happened, from what we understand, is when COVID hit, all of those cars were returned to the home base,
Mhm.
and they just had way too many cars, and they couldn't keep them in storage because they were overflowing, and because we didn't know how long they were going to be closed. Because remember, the mainland opened in, what was it, June 1st.
Mhm.
Hawaii didn't open until November of that year, so all those cars sat there. These are small islands. You're going to have that salt water hitting that
Right.
area, so they don't want the cars to rust also. So they took the excess cars and brought them to the mainland, and once they
Okay.
got here, they were sold.
Okay.
And so now, of course, that business is up and running. They're having issues with that. Part of the problems they were also having was, once somebody had a rental car, they didn't want to let it go. And
Yeah.
so Jerry's coming in. I have the rental car. My flight is not till 9 o'clock at night, but you're coming in at 11. I'm like, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
I'll pay the extra. I'll just have the rental car until I have to go to the airport. Or they were like, you know what, we're gonna, I know I rented it only for 3 days, but I decided I want to have it for another two. So they
Mhm.
kept that rental car. So the person coming in that needed that car didn't have access to it,
Okay.
and that was another issue. It has been corrected for the most part, but I would definitely make sure that your clients get there with a rental car, whether
Okay.
it's in Kauai. Definitely Kauai, Maui, and the Big Island, you will need a rental car if you want to get out, because they don't have the Waikiki area like Oahu does.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Okay, let's see. Who's gonna win? Well, we have Miss Sandra. Congratulations, Miss Sandra.
Woo!
I will send that information to you shortly. Everyone who tuned in, I appreciate it. Once again, if you guys have any questions, please let me know. And you guys will be hearing from me very soon. And thank you for taking the time to give us all this valuable information
You're welcome.
this evening. And you guys don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Caribbean Travel Tea with Jerry. And I will see you guys soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Aloha.